Good morning, everybody. Welcome to This Costa Rican Life. I'm Justin McCarter. I'm here with my ultra and my good friend Abel, who is the principal and creator of the Paz Schools. And we're here to discuss life in Costa Rica, having kids here, having businesses here. It is 88 degrees. It is 9:48 in the morning, and this is a conversation between six beers. Don't run away from it. Lean into it,
sorry,
Abel. Lean into
it. Go back to school.
I think it's okay. Well, we'll just do the...
yes, in the spirit of the experience, I'm going to raise a glass and take a traguito here. That's and right. A little sip.
It's an ultra, for goodness sakes.
It's good to be here. Wow. Yeah, that's nice. That's a good way to start the day.
Now you want to finish it off, don't you? Yeah, I know. It's 4.1. It's a real low. Let's find him a cup. We're going to cut this part out.
Can we pretend that it's the weekend?
We'll get you a coffee cup. Actually, we don't cut it out. No, I'm just kidding. I never said that. If anything goes completely off the rails, we can cut things out.
Oh, really?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
It's not. We're not already live streaming to the World Wide Web.
That would make it quite exciting.
Anything super embarrassing that you say or I say can and will be chopped.
Fair enough.
So we talked about this earlier. It is a discussion between six beers. I feel like it lubricates the conversation, but I understand completely that you need to function as an adult in society. I run a sailing center. It's not really the same for me. You run two schools among your other projects. So as a sort of compromise, we decided that I'll drink the six beers and you'll do 6 quality push-ups.
I would like to make a counter offer to that.
Okay, 1 beer and 5 push-ups.
Exactly. I'm gonna go ahead and again honor the process and make sure I work my way through this. Keep the BAC down enough that I can return to school and navigate the challenges of the day.
Absolutely.
And I'll go ahead and knock out 5. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect. And let's leave it open-ended. Let's drink this one and then see how you feel about it.
Okay, so maybe do it at the end.
It's basically two push-ups per beer that you don't drink. Okay, and that seems fair. So you're down to 4 already.
Oh, I'm down to 4. Yeah. Well, if I finish this.
If you finish that one.
Okay, so no pressure. All right. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Okay, good.
Stress-free zone.
It's a safe space.
Yes.
We try to make it a safe space.
Thank you. Thank you for accommodating all of our beliefs, opinions, and thoughts.
Well, just like La Paz School, right?
Bingo.
Let's talk a little bit about how you came to Costa Rica. I think a lot of people have the idea that Costa Rica is a beautiful, peaceful place, and I think that that's true. What brought you here, and when was that?
Are we doing just the short version? Yeah. So.
Well, yeah. You've got basically half of a beer to discuss.
Okay. Thank you. We'll measure our time in beer consumed. So, I am from outside Boston, Massachusetts. Originally, spent my whole childhood there. Went to public school there.
Sailing family.
And grew up sailing on Cape Cod every summer. Feel very blessed to have had that experience. And just being outdoors a lot. And then went to college up in Maine, and I got my physics degree, started teaching physics in southern New Hampshire at a public school.
I went to UNH.
Yep, my wife went to UNH.
Really?
You have that in common.
Stowe Hall, yeah.
Yeah, so, there you go. So we met there. My wife and I teaching, not at UNH, but at the school in southern New Hampshire, in Amherst, New Hampshire. And we had 3
metropolis.
Amazing, bedroom community, right? But 3 amazing years, met some amazing people, and saw really our life path laid out in front of us. You start investing in your pension, you start thinking about your beautiful home on the perfect green hill overlooking the mountains.
Right.
Your kids go into this amazing school, or at that point we weren't thinking about kids, but we were 24, 25, and we were like, well, we have 2 choices. Let's go. We can go this way, or we can, take that, Robert Frost detour.
Sure.
And we went for the detour. We got married. We got married on Cape Cod. And then stored away all of our stuff, and put on our backpacks and left. And we haven't been back since.
And
So
you
that was
went
at the age of 25.
you went to Brazil initially. Is that right?
Yeah. So we wanted to learn a new language. We both knew Spanish to a certain extent. So we were like, let's learn a new language, but let's stay somewhat close to home. My parents went to the Peace Corps in Brazil, so it's a pretty interesting place. I wanted to learn more about it. So we put on our backpacks and went to Brazil, spent a year there teaching English, learning Portuguese, exploring. We also did like a pilgrimage back to where my parents worked in rural Brazil for 2 years. That was a trip. And then from there, we learned about international schools, flirted with the idea of working at an international school there, ended up getting jobs in Guatemala for a couple of years at an international school there. And then came to Costa Rica and worked at an international school here, which was then called Country Day School for a year. And then it was
they
there.
have schools everywhere, Country Day.
Well, that's not a franchise, if you will. Country Day is a general term, probably coming out of Old England.
Yes.
The Country
Jolly
Day
old English.
School back in the day. But it's just a generic term. So there were at that time two, one in San Jose and one here. We worked at the one here for a year. Very long story short. Didn't work out, and we then had some like-minded educators that saw a need in the community, were approached by some families, and identified a need for basically a bilingual or a dual language immersion school that really embraced the local population and worked to create an environment of inclusion. And accessibility for all to go and receive a top-notch education.
I'm sure that must have been a difficult time, sort of leaving that already operational location and then branching out and learning everything on your own and creating a new school. And
we had no business doing it. We had no idea. We were all like peace love. I was 27 years old. We were like, or 28, and the rest of us were quite young. And we didn't know what we were getting into at all. We just love education and wanted to create a place where, there was every single decision you made was 100% focused on the kids. No distractions, just how are we going to create like literally the best learning environment we could possibly imagine based on everything we've learned and all the information out there.
My business partner, Jeff Herman, his son Max was one of your first 6 kids, was he not?
Yeah, they were one of the first to enroll. Thank you, Jeff. Let's raise a glass.
All
there.
right.
Him and Katie were the first to enroll, and a bunch of parents who just saw what we were doing and liked the idea of learning by doing, but most importantly creating a school environment that really included a significant portion of the local population as well as the foreign locals, you could think of them as folks that have really made this place their home. So do
you find people have a different focus in education here for their kids? I think at home in the States, I'm talking about this is my home now, but back in the States you put your kids in and it's an autopilot sort of a thing, and they get spit out the other end. And do you feel like people have a different idea of what education can be here?
I think that's a good question. From my experience, I feel like people are coming here in search of the good life. And luckily we have a bunch of different schools that all offer something for everyone. So they La Paz, some people walk into La Paz and they're like, this is exactly what I want. A school where I, as a parent, can get involved. We can get our hands dirty. We know what our kids are doing. Our kids are going to learn another language, whether they're Spanish language learners or English language learners. That's the cool part, is they're kind of two groups learning different languages. And they like the feeling of nature when they walk in and the projects. So that is certainly what we offer in a nonprofit model as well. So that's important to recognize. And then there's other schools around which offer a little bit of a different flavor. So from my perspective,
there are some places that are, it's come in and do whatever you like, Johnny, and which works for some people, and
there's no one size fits all education, and that's why like Guanacaste is on the map right now, because you have like 10
how many schools here?
I think there's 10 private schools within a, say, 25 mile radius, and they literally serve different flavors up to everyone, and they're all strong schools.
They're all full.
Yeah, and they're all full, and many of them have waiting lists, and that's your first indicator of a community where like social capital is growing.
Yeah,
like there's one of our big important parts of our mission is that social capital doesn't just stay with one portion of the population, like those that have money to attend a private school. That's why we over 60%.
You have scholarship kids. How many kids at your school are?
So there's 310 kids, and 65% receive some kind of financial aid, and about 15% receive a scholarship, which is almost full boat. Yeah. So we give out like $800,000 a year in aid to make sure that like that type of education is accessible to folks. And,
we've got some of your kids sailing with us.
Yeah.
Both groups, some scholarship kids and some full blown young yuppies, and they're all good kids.
Yeah.
I would say in general, kids are monsters. Discuss. Like they're so. Let me just say why I asked that. So the other day, kids are a pain in the ass sometimes. We had the sailing kids here the other day, and they're getting into it, and they're getting good, and they were talking about roll tacks, which is an advanced maneuver when you're racing. And one of the kids says, "What's a roll tack?" And the other kid turns to him and goes, "Well, you don't know what a roll tack is?" I just thought, you little bastard.
Oh, man. I think kids are naturally trying to figure life out.
Sure.
And they're going to offend people. They're going to make mistakes. They may beat people up. They may
mentally
bully.
And physically. Yeah.
Yeah, they may bully. I think it's all part of the process. I like to say about that process of like raising children and bringing them through the system. It's not the conflicts that you see happening, because all kinds of conflicts are gonna happen. It's how you respond to the conflict.
Right.
How do you support the child? Do you basically put them in prison, suspend them, whatever, like
beat them?
That
you're
kind
in favor of corporal punishment,
punitive approach, or do you bring them up and acknowledge the conflict and really engage in a conflict resolution process? If you could call it restorative justice, like that's certainly, I think, part of what it means to bring up, good people. Like people ask, what are you trying to do at La Paz? Like, is this a university preparation school? I'm like, no, it's a life preparation school. We want these kids to be good,
be a decent,
human
thoughtful
beings.
Yeah.
And that involves being informed, being mindful of others.
Making mistakes.
One of my dichas is, whatever floats your boat, but make sure that doesn't sink someone else's or doesn't sink mine. Think about
apropos.
Having a strong opinion, right? But also being cognizant of what other people are thinking.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's one of the big problems with our world right now. It's like people have their strong opinions, and they're not going to listen to another opinion because they think they are right, wherever they fall on the map.
Sure.
And I think that's something we're trying to maybe decompose at a school like La Paz.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about living in Costa Rica is you don't have to listen to the news here.
That's true. Yeah.
There's so much
tune out.
Divisiveness in the States, and a lot of people will bring that down here and try to engage you in those things, and it's a good lesson for them to not
that doesn't
necessarily
happen here.
Don't lead with that.
Yeah, we have a group of bike riders that every Thursday night we go for an evening ride, and this is over at Las Catalinas down the road.
John Zepeda, those guys, yeah.
We've been doing that for almost 15 years, and there's a bunch of newbies that come in every year, and some of them survive, some of them don't, because we like to ride pretty hard. And the other day on our WhatsApp chat, we're called the Huevones, because jueves is Thursday, right? And huevon is, could be interpreted
a couple different ways.
ways. So we're the Huevones with a J.
In what ways does that interpret?
Well, it could be dude, like in a nice way, or if you're saying it angry, like, ay, huevon, it could kind of be an expletive term,
right?
If you will.
Does that mean balls?
Well, yes.
That's
big
another
balls.
Yes, big ball.
So you're
big
calling
ballers.
yourself the Big Ball Riders?
That sounds
big
a
ball
little.
riders
on
Thursday.
On Thursday.
Thursday, big
fluid.
ball riders. Yeah, there you go.
Big ball
Just
riders.
needed some clarification.
It's better to put it like as huevones.
Yeah.
It's a good group of dudes, and every year, and we have beliefs all over the spectrum. So some, recently, there's been certainly a few new folks joining who have started to kind of sprinkle in a new huevones, little balls maybe.
Huevonitos.
Huevonitos. And, they started kind of putting in some political discourse into the WhatsApp chat. And I kind of aguantar. I held my mouth for a little bit because I don't like to participate in any kind of written dialogue. I'd write the face-to-face, you know? Because then you're held accountable.
Perhaps
because
with an ultra.
Ultra. Who's sponsored? Is this a sponsorship?
I'm waiting for Imperial to sponsor us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And maybe Flor de Caña too.
Sponsor us, and maybe we can get them to support the La Paz Scholarship Program.
Fantastic idea.
So, where was I? Yeah, so I finally piped up on the huevones as one of the veterans, along with Cepeda. I was like, please, let's not utilize this chat to share political thoughts, because things just spiral and the misinformation anyway. And it got I said I made a motion, and it got some thumbs up, and the political chat is done on the chat. So we're back to being the huevones. We like to ride bikes, eat some good food, drink a few beers on Thursday night, and be human, and be real.
I tell you how we handle that here at the Sailing Center. As soon as that conversation starts, as soon as you bring up the V word in any form these days, I'm so over the conversation.
V word.
Every single direction.
Fun. What am I gonna guess? The V word. Oh my gosh.
The vaccination.
Oh,
word.
okay. Well, I wasn't even wow. Okay, I wasn't thinking about
I'm
that.
willing to discuss a lot of different V words, but
okay, because I just didn't know because we were talking about general political leanings, and I didn't realize you were going to connect it immediately.
That's where I go.
Fair enough.
At least that's what I deal with here.
Yeah, well.
And what I generally say when those conversations get, or political, general conversations, is generally is that a whale?
Is that a sunset?
And then we look for a whale for a little bit, and then I come back to the conversation. And if they continue, I say something shiny, and we'll just see if we can get them off track.
Yeah. That's a good approach.
Just like our conversation here.
Focus on keeping it real, people.
All right, so let's get back to the important things.
Yeah, please.
All right, so I've heard that you're a samba dancer in Brazil, and you once wore a shiny loincloth. True or not true?
Did you say loincloth?
Loincloth. It's the best way I could describe it.
I would not describe it.
Do we have pictures?
Maybe a tonga. You'll have to ask La Doña.
Tonga, doesn't that mean like a butt floss?
It wasn't quite flossing, but it was maybe hugging in all regions.
And you rode the subway and went all over town.
We were in Ipanema, and we took the subway over the mountain to Rio.
Pretty much describes it. That's
Janeiro.
Awesome. Yes.
And we were taking lessons with the samba school, and my wife and I and a few friends. And then they, one of the tourist things they do is they put you in these samba outfit, and you parade for about a half a mile down. They have a stadium that's made for samba for this week, right? The Semana Santa. And sure enough, I think the locals mostly, because we were in the gringo group, so they kind of we're laughing and having a good time, but they're kind of making fun of us probably. And then the professionals are ahead of us doing their samba thing. Of course, Carrie thought she was on the global stage. My wife, she was just glowing. She's an amazing dancer.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that happened. Yes.
So that could have been a career path. You might never have gotten into education had she gotten a little bit more famous.
She's still teaching dance to this day, though, so dance is a big part of her life.
I've heard dance is a big part of your whole family's life.
Yeah, we love to dance.
You've got daughters?
I have a fourth grader and a seventh grader. They were born after La Paz. We kind of think of our lives as like before La Paz and before kids. And now so La Paz was maybe the first shared child with a bunch of good friends. And then we weren't thinking, when we started La Paz, people are like, oh yeah, you started the school for your kids. Like, no, we weren't even thinking about that. We were like, let's just do this because it would be amazing. Right. And then our kids came along, and voila. And now we're moving forward. Yeah, it's fun. We love life here. It's amazing.
Yeah. It is. It can be challenging.
Yes. It can be challenging, but I mean, after 16 years here, man, you've
got it worked out.
Yeah, it's all about breathing and just going into things with zero expectations.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go and do get your bank account open in Liberia. I always tell this to new families who come in, like, just moderate your expectation. It's the journey. It has nothing to do with the successful completion of a task. It's all about getting in the car. Okay, step 1, I'm in the car. Exceeded expectations.
Great.
I got a car.
Fantastic.
2, I get to Liberia. Whoa, that's more than exceeding expectations. 3, the place is open and the computer system is on. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
You
okay,
are
so already
at,
winning in this life.
all we do is win, right?
I think
if you adjust your expectations, because when you come from a place like the United States, maybe Europe, where things are just you come to expect that that's the way the rest of the world works. But the reality is the vast majority of the world do not have that opportunity to think at that level of expectation.
Yeah.
So this is a great kind of, either some people survive down here, and those are the people that start breathing and changing their expectations and understanding what pura vida means.
Finding alternatives to their things that they were accustomed to or needed.
Yeah, and then the other people that don't survive are the people that are, still driving down the road, and the taxi pirata, stops in the middle of the road to either saludar, say hello to their friend, or pick someone up, and they're honking. Why is this car stopping in the middle of the road? And I'm saying, you know what, man, you're not going to survive. Just take a breath and appreciate the moment.
I think the horn is an important thing, and I'm just going to point out that I'm on my second ultra here. I don't know how far down you are.
I'm
I think
about
you're right at
I can see the
what I would call the elbow of the
Yeah.
thing. It's okay.
No.
It's okay. You're a strong guy. You can easily do 400 push-ups.
Oh, it's times 100 now? Okay.
We said it was times 100, right?
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
It's going to get exciting. But anyway, so that's
going to
my
be really
reflection.
boring footage, actually.
That's my reflection on life being difficult down here. I think if you were to tell me, Abel, you're going to go back to the United States, you got this is what's going to happen in your life, I'd be like, oh man, that sounds really challenging. Like, life there seems like it would be overwhelming because so much is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Your brain is completely filled with so many inputs at a given time. Whereas here, like you're saying, your only input may be just like,
is that a whale?
Really nice.
Yeah.
And so that's why I appreciate about living here.
What kind of things do you guys do as a family here, just to enjoy your time when you're not working and you have some time with the kids?
Thanks for asking. We have a bunch of trails where we live over in the Brasilito. We live in the Mar Vista community, so we have a bunch of trails that they've made there. We'll walk the trails. We'll hang out behind our house. Our house is backed up to to basically the tropical dry forest, just a bunch of trees, and hang out there. We'll go to the beach, of course. This is when we're not dancing, when the kids are not dancing, which is basically like when they're not at school, they're dancing. Yeah. So this is the remaining, 0.1% of our lives. Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to get into the show, still have the loincloth?
No, I am the support dad, for sure. I'm the dance dad.
Yeah.
And being a dance dad means one needs to really know how to surf. So, because you don't want to get too involved, or else you get sucked in to the too much. But when the show's on... Okay.
I've done
what
my
else
research.
do we do?
I've done my research.
Whoa. The Lord Licorice. So one of our favorite games maybe as a child was Candyland. Yeah. Really a non-skill game that also brings a lot of adrenaline. Our kids loved it. And you get stuck in Candyland when the Lord Licorice, when you land on the Lord Licorice spot. So we transform that into a game where I'm the Lord Licorice and I'm trying to get all my kids and their friends into the sticky lair. Yeah. So we establish a spot in our house. It's the closet. So I have to run around the house. We open up all the windows and doors, and I run around the house like a maniac. An evil.
You strike me as an evil maniac,
and try to grab the kids and put them into the sticky lair. And they, to this day, even the 7th grader wants to play it. Sorry, Isla, if you ever listen to this, but they really transform back into the kids that they are.
How do you think? How do you think their experience growing up in Costa Rica is different than it might have been? Growing up in the States, for instance?
Wow. That's a good question. I think they are free of this pressure to consume. which is slowly making its way down here for sure. You know, you're starting to see more accessibility to products. Before we were very free of that. There's no Walmart, there was no Price Mart. There was a dirt road from the airport.
Hopelessly addicted to Amazon.
Yes. So I think, you know, in some ways the access to goods can be helpful. And in other ways, I think it can be harmful. And it's all about, I always say, like in general about life, it's all about balance. You know, if you're going to be, you know, ordering on Amazon to get things down here all the time.
You hear that, Tommy?
Maybe
I'm listening.
you are creating, a more complicated world for yourself, right? So I think it's all about trying to find a balance with our kids.
Tommy. You're doing great. Tommy only orders tech equipment for the show, so.
Yeah, you can't get this here, right? We wouldn't be able to do this. 15 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible here. You know, now we have, fiber optic cable and all kinds of stuff like that, which helps us stay connected, learn about the world, and realize how special it is to live here.
Truly.
So I think my kids have a very, a somewhat pure upbringing here where they aren't surrounded. You know, if you grow up in suburban New Hampshire, you're surrounded by generally like-minded individuals who come from a certain background, and that could be unidimensional and could shape you in that way, which is just a reality. That's the way most of the world worked for the past 10,000 years.
Sure.
Until globalization.
Yeah.
Right now, we have this wonderful opportunity here in Costa Rica to live this, in this beautiful world, amongst all different kinds of people, whether they're local Guanacastecos or they're Chepeños transplanted from San Jose, or folks, from all over the world, and they come here for what, they either lived here originally, but people like living here,
Yeah.
So
How many, you've got a bunch of different nationalities at La Paz School. I remember you had a multi-culte night with so many different nationalities represented. What is that sort of, how does that shape the school?
Yeah, good question. So the demographic of the school, you're about 60% Costa Rican, and that may be divided. Costa Rica is many different cultures in one. To say that, like Guanacastecos, who've lived here their whole life and have parents who grew up here, they're very different from someone who comes from San Jose. So you have 60% Costa Rican, of which maybe half are Guanacastecans, and the other half are transplanted from elsewhere in the country, and then the other 40% come from like 30 different countries around the world.
Wow.
So it's cool, but they've all come here. They want to live here. Like they understand. They want to understand what it means to live in paradise.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's lovely.
Yes,
it is. It's nice to share this place. It's nice to, like you say, some people come in and they're going to succeed, and they're going to take their lumps, and they're going to slow it down, and they're going to stop using their horn as an announcement of their impatience and anger, and just use it to toot toot. Hey, what's up?
Yeah. There's nothing like a toot.
Yeah. Or possibly, alert an imminent disaster from That's it.
It's effective.
Yeah.
But if you're going over a one-way bridge and maybe someone isn't paying attention, you want to lay on your horn to call attention. But sometimes their brakes may not work.
Yeah.
So they still may run into you, which is what happened to me on the Potrero Bridge several years ago. Oh, man. The fruit guy in his red truck.
Really?
He was filled with melons. And this is a great example of, like, difference in, like, Pura Vida versus, like, litigious, maybe U.S. culture. We were with my in-laws driving home from an amazing day in Las Catalinas on the beach at Playa Danta. Everything's perfect. I think we were just saying, like, this is amazing. We're going over the one-way Potrero Bridge. We were going the right way, and the fruit guy was coming the other way with his old beat-up Toyota truck filled with melons. Sure enough, he can't stop.
Right, he's got a ton of melons on the back of that thing.
Yeah, and I am laying on the horn in the way I should.
Yes.
And boom, head-on collision in the middle of the bridge. And my father-in-law just looked at me. He was next door, he was next to me, and she's like, what is this guy doing? I'm like, he probably lost his brakes. And he's like, why are you so casual about this? I'm like, well, I realized, at that very moment, I realized the most I was going to get out of that accident, despite the fact that the front end of my car was somewhat wrecked, was a few watermelons. And that's what I got. a few watermelons. And shook the guy's hand and
off you go.
grabbed a backhoe to straighten out the bumper of my old Pathfinder, and we went on. Instead of, that was it.
Yeah. Is this the Pathfinder that you went to the grocery store? You dropped your wife off at the grocery store. You ran to the mechanic real quick, and then you came back in a taxi, having sold said Pathfinder.
Yeah. Sometimes, maybe the Pura Vida gets the best of you. There comes a point, and I have to coach a lot of people, and having been here for a while, in car strategy. Strategy. So we've actually had 2 Pathfinders. Yes, we bought another one after that also was a disaster. But yeah, the brakes were going, a bunch of things were going on, and I brought it to the mechanic, and he just started pointing out all the things we needed to fix. And I'm like, how much will you buy this for right now? Leaving us basically carless, right?
Right.
And he's like, $2,000. I'm like, let's go. Where's your lawyer? He signed it over, took a cab back and said, Carrie, we're going home. Back to the drawing boards. That was car number 4. Here in Costa Rica.
It's interesting. Everybody does it differently. I just continued to go all in. I'm like, I bought a car from Grant McLean, the old Pathfinder. Not Pathfinder, Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
And I bought it for $6,000. And I just continued to fix and replaced a transmission and then replaced the transmission again. And then, so now I've got, I think I've got about $9,000 worth of repairs into my $5,000 car. And, now it runs.
It's the Costa Rican version of the money pit.
Yeah.
It's the cars. And, I could tell there's so many stories.
Tommy, too. Yeah. Tommy's had his brand new side-by-side at the mechanics for more time than he has been driving it by a long shot.
So we got here in June, and we had it for a month, and it started having problems. No, it started having problems in November. Since November, it's been in the shop, and it's come back and gone back 3 times. 3 different times.
Not driven back, but towed.
No, it had to be towed here and back 3 different times. And I just found out the reason they say is because when they installed the light bars, which are like aftermarket, they put it onto the same circuit as the starter.
I see.
And that took them 3 different times to figure this out. So now they finally figured it out.
Hey, Pura Vida,
It's going to take 10 more days for them to fix it now.
Pura Vida.
Par for the course there.
Absolutely.
Especially when you get into electrical installations and cars. Yeah, I mean, just zero expectations.
But see,
it's not going to get fixed.
That happened.
There you go.
That happened.
Be okay with it.
Right before my other car rolled down the hill.
E-brake failure?
Not exactly.
Failure, not technical failure. My 8-year-old was learning what the e-brake does, and
they live on a steep hill.
We have a very steep hill, and my wife was loading the kids into the car. The baby she was in the back, buckling the baby's car seat. 8-year-old releases the e-brake, car rolls backwards down the hill, rolls into the well house, flips over, throws my wife from the car, and totals the Fortuner. Totals it. I mean,
this is horrifying.
Roof collapsed. Nobody. My wife had a scar on her forehead, but none of the kids were injured. They were all totally fine.
Baby was
hanging.
Was hanging upside down in the car.
That sounds horrifying. That is for me. That's not a Pura Vida. That's just
it's
Pura Vida that nobody got hurt. You know, it's
hurt badly. She still has a scar.
Yes. Sorry, Naftali.
Wow, man. Yeah. I'm glad everybody is somewhat okay.
I think Tommy's going to come out of this a stronger person, as are all the kids and his wife, and they're going to make it.
Lessons to be learned from every moment in life, for sure. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Yes. Definitely,
I think that there's something to be said for, it's the slow trickle to making it through here in Costa Rica, or it's the quick kick in the nuts, and then maybe you'll be okay from here on out. Let's just knock on wood and hope for that one. I'm gonna have another sip of my Ultra.
Cheers.
How's yours doing?
It's good. We're going on half. We're on half. So I've earned a push-up, a weight subtracted from my 6. So I'm officially down to 5.
5 push-ups.
The Costa Rican challenges, they come in the form of whether it's cars, houses, banking. Those are kind of like the 3 when people are applying to the school or banking or finance. I'm always like, okay, what are you going to do down here? And they're like, well, we don't have a lot saved up, but I think we were going to buy a restaurant. And I'm like, okay. Well, do you want me to save you like $50,000 now? How about you give me $50,000 now, and let's just like put you out of your misery.
I'll be a consultant.
My buddies and I always joke about how much we could save people consulting them on business decisions down here, because we've seen like.
The old joke is definitely true. How do you make a small fortune in Costa Rica? Start with a large one, right? That is painfully true.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yes, I've seen it happen, sadly enough, over and over again. But I guess we can say that money gets reinvested in the community and spread out to, there we go again,
right.
Increase the social capital of the area.
And and you learn to live with less. And that's okay.
Oh.
That's a great lesson.
Yes, the great distribution of wealth is what we call, when the thieves go on a rampage. It's just, as long as no one gets hurt, these things are getting spread around the community. It's happened to all of us. So, and yes, not to offend anybody where this has been, obviously these are life-altering experiences.
Sure.
But when you see it happen over and over again, it's just like, well, how else we can approach this? So
Right.
Opportunistic crime happens everywhere.
That is that does happen everywhere. And there's a huge disparity between haves and have-nots here, and it's not a surprise that people try to even the playing field a little bit.
Yes, and you get angry at. People get so angry at maybe the thieves or those the perpetrators. Like, we gotta go get them and take them down. It's like, whoa, suave.
Right.
Like, what's the root here? Right? We're coming into a country which is not our home, right? And it's a place, especially in Guanacaste, where there's a huge polarization of wealth. There's the communities are very underserved, and it's a product of a system that is in the process of evolving.
Sure.
And that's why education is so important. That's why we're here. Yeah. That's why wherever we go, education is your root. If you have a strong education system, then a lot of times those problems can be minimized.
How do you think the rest of Costa Rica is doing on education?
Well, we're coming out of the pandemic, and we're going to see for the next 10 to 15 years some really tragic impacts, not just in Costa Rica, but around the world.
Sure.
Kids have not had accessibility to education. And I'm not talking about the content, because the content is an unnecessary distraction in what education is all about. Let's go back to just creating good human beings.
Sure.
Right? So much focused on, we got to catch them up on the content. Por favor, like let's make sure they know how to read and write and understand some basic math. But more importantly, let's focus on creating good people and helping them understand how to manage conflict and deal with challenges in life.
And deal with emotions.
And that's what school's about, and so what's happening now post-pandemic, I was reading an article in La Nación, which is the national newspaper here, about the big debate in the MEP is like, how are we going to catch the kids up? No, that's not focus, people, right? It's how are we going to re-engage them socio-emotionally so that they know how to interact with each other and, again, deal with conflict. Like, that's the learning that needs to happen now. So how is education going in the whole country? I'd say it's on par with where we're at in the whole world. I mean, it's a major challenge right now that we're not going to see the impacts of, until this group gets into the workforce. We have 3-year-olds pre-pandemic who've never, been to school before, or 4-year-olds, whatever. They've never seen a book, and that's tragic. So,
well, actually,
so we're in a
books
tough
are outdated, Abel. I don't know if you're still reading books. But,
oh man, yeah. E-books? I don't know.
I read on my phone.
Okay. TikTok. Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, somebody asked Patricia a question the other day, and and they said, "Well, how do you know that?" She said, "Oh, I don't know, TikTok."
Yes. Google.
Yeah.
Where did you
it was
learn
like
that?
a young person question. Like, how do you know about that? I watch TikTok.
Yeah. Certainly, education is evolving pretty rapidly, and those that are in charge are just scrambling to keep up. How do you keep it relevant? You learn when things are relevant to you, and right now, with the the divide between the digital natives who are coming into these, pre-K through 12 years and those that are creating policy.
The digital natives.
Digital natives are kids that grew up basically with a cell phone in their hand.
Okay.
From the day one, the internet existed.
Yeah.
Right. The divide in understanding what their needs are compared to what we're giving them is so disparate. It's so divided.
I think we need to put those kids on a boat and throw the phones overboard.
That's one perspective. Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think
Again, maybe not forever.
That's why we have the project-based learning at the school, man.
Tell me a little bit about that. I saw that nice. I saw that nice anchor shirt that you wore, and I thought it was an homage to the sailing center.
It was, some things just happen for a reason, I guess. I wasn't thinking about it.
Serendipity.
It's Thursday, and we wear our Anchor Project shirts on Thursday at the school. And so that's why I have it. And you pointed out that, here we are at the Sailing Center at the Anchor.
So what's the Anchor Project?
These are year-long projects that anchor the curriculum at the school. So every grade level is in charge of a project. It teaches them how to be entrepreneurs. It teaches them how to engage in doing something over the long term.
Mm-hmm.
And
can you give me an example?
Yeah, so let's say our 10th graders, that's the culmination of the Anchor Project experience. They run the school store. So they are responsible for, learning how to operate a POS system, learning when the suppliers come, they welcome them at the gate. They receive the suppliers, they put it in inventory, then they sell it to our community, and then they present budgets. And they've been learning that all the way from preschool when they operate their little chicken coop, and they learn how to manage the chicken coop. And then our 6th graders run a bigger chicken coop, and that brings in money.
You guys do have chickens still at La Paz?
Lots of chickens, yeah.
How many chickens you got these days?
Oh,
more
maybe
or less?
100 plus, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so all the eggs from the chickens are sold. So then you have this circular economy where money's coming into the school. It doesn't go into the school's pockets. They need to reinvest it. They reinvest it in the garden project so they can produce vegetables and then sell the vegetables. So you teach the kids through these anchor projects, how the economy works, life skills, how to manage a budget, and all through, getting your hands dirty.
I've always felt like that's one of the things that was never taught in my generation was, how to balance your checkbook. And
because they were focused on teaching you, irrelevant
quadratic
facts
equations.
And perhaps quadratic equations and things
too.
Yeah.
Should we do those?
Whatever. Says the physics guy.
Says the ultra guy.
Yeah.
Almost done with my second. I might have to do 2 push-ups. It's not going to be good.
Oh, you know what? I have an idea. I don't know if this happened, but you could do a gentlemanly gesture and start drinking the ones that I'm not going to drink. Then you'd save me some push-ups. What do you think about that?
I don't know.
Tony. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, great. Has this happened yet? Has he gone into 4 and 5?
It's never happened.
No, never.
Never happened.
There we go. I mean, it would be, very much a contribution to the community.
Like you, I have a business to run, Abel. The difference is I can run my business 3 beers in. And I don't have to be in front of children as a role model.
Fair enough. Well, luckily you describe me as the principal. I do want to clarify. I am now the general director of the school.
Okay.
I'm not very involved in the day-to-day. We have an academic director at one school.
So what are we talking about here?
Shoot, I just buried myself. And then an academic director at another school. We have a finance director, and those are kind of the people that I work with. They're, so I'm more, floating around, making sure that, the La Paz philosophy lives on. And I do that through, I go to the morning meetings and watch the anchor projects and then kind of coach the academic directors into, moving the ship forward. And
that's really changed. Your role there has changed as your school has grown. How many kids do you have in both campuses these days?
Like 520 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like 200 on one, 210 on one, 310 on the other. And the one is pre-K through 9, the new one over called La Paz Tempisque by the Tempisque River on your way to the airport. And then this one just down the road in Brasilito has about 310. It's about maxed out. And the other one is pre-K through 9, more or less maxed out. And I would have never thought that would have happened when we started the school. Ill prepared,
with
as
your
I mentioned.
6 kids and
back in 2007. What a trip!
When are you starting La Paz University?
Some people ask, like, what's your goal? What are you going to do? Like, do you want to bring this philosophy to the world? I don't really have that kind of a vision. The concept of La Paz Tempisque came up because people toured the school who had some means, and they had a connection to a foundation, and they're like, what will it take to replicate the school? I'm like, a lot of money and some facilities. And they're like, and you'll take care of the education part? That's what they asked. I said, yeah, that's what we do best. The biggest challenges over the past 15 years have been money and infrastructure.
Yeah.
But if you get that taken care of, the education piece for us, that's like, sailing for you.
I'm looking for those guys for the sailing program. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah. Send them over.
So you give enough tours, and every once in a while, people, the right people come to the door, and we'll see where it takes us. We have a U.S. nonprofit foundation that we started called Paz Global, and that, under that umbrella, we could have, just these 2 La Pazes or 100 La Pazes. Who knows? But we'll see what happens. How that will evolve.
Yeah, we'll see how this is evolving. Let me just say that this is not yours.
Not yet.
Yeah, this is not yours. This is my 3rd one. This means I'm done with any push-ups that I might have to do.
Okay, you are at net 0.
Yeah,
0. Yeah. I am at net.
It's okay. I mean, you've got the huevons.
Wait, when is this going to be
exercising
published?
all
Like,
the
how
time.
many months in the future or weeks in the future would this be
People are going
published?
to be knocking on your door soon. Yeah. Probably bringing more money and opportunities to La Paz.
Vamos a ver. Yeah, especially after, because this is going to go viral, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, hope
I can see the
eternal.
headline: General Director caught drinking during the school day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you this is very heavy still.
But how about that for like a difference between the culture that many of us come from, the United States, and in here? Like, there's definitely this, in terms of judgment, I would say that many around here, it's very much a judgment-free zone. It's like there's so many diverse opinions, and people are all over the map on everything from the V concept that you referenced and everything else, and we try to preach, let's listen to each other, like, and whether you think someone's right or wrong, does that mean you have to shut them off from your life just because you don't believe something? Does that mean that I believe in? Should I exclude you? And my answer to that is no. Because I think that creates more divisions.
People still have value. We still have things that we can agree on and enjoy with each other. I find I have so many people that might not share my exact political sort of viewpoint
leanings,
here,
if you will.
and it just turns out we don't talk about those things here.
Yeah,
we talk about fishing. Turns out we have a lot in common when we talk about fishing.
Man, when we started the school, we couldn't have done it without the owner of the Jungle Gym, Don Ritz. Amazing man. Salute to him, to Don.
I'm drinking to you, Don, but
he comes by here quite
Abel's
often
not.
now. He's like, okay,
Abel's
Don,
not
fine.
drinking to you.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be that guy.
He's been in the country since 2005. Came down here to his family. Had that tragic accident that many people may have heard about, where he lost his family in a plane accident, along with some other friends, and he was not in that plane, so he remained in the area. When we came along in 2007 with the idea of the school, he said, "Let's do this." Yeah. He comes from he's a police officer from Los Angeles who did Vice in the 1980s.
Jeez.
Like, you can just imagine,
right.
his world and what he, So his political leanings, if you will, are nowhere near where mine are.
Yeah, New Hampshire educator.
Yes, like basically all of my parents and uncles and aunts went to Harvard. It's like I come from a totally different planet, but does that change? If I had just discarded him and his belief system, La Paz would have never come about.
Yeah.
So wow. I think there's something to say that's really taught me a lot of lessons, in terms of being judgment free. It's okay to be like, this is my opinion. I really believe in this, but and you have yours, and let me listen to you. Like, maybe some of your reasonings make sense to me, and I look into them, and we can have some more beers over. I don't know. So that's hashtag no judging. My wife and I say that's a hashtag no judging.
I can't even say it. Hashtag no judging.
And I think if we can all reflect on that concept, that doesn't mean you don't have your beliefs. Mm-hmm. It means that I'm not going to judge someone based on their beliefs.
Or my 3 beers in the morning.
No, I'm definitely not.
Hashtag no judging.
But I was going back to the debate. Imagine the United States, general director of well-known private school,
right.
On podcast, drinking
ruined.
in the morning, and then going back to school.
The
good night.
Shame.
Shame. A culture of shame. That's also, and we put that shame, and our kids can feel that shame as well. That's one of the number one lessons in raising children. Like, don't shame them. Like, how do you feel about that, Juan? That big mistake that you made? Don't you feel bad about that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, suave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, let's think about that. Why'd you do that? Maybe we should start thinking how we ask questions. Why do you believe that?
Yeah.
Why'd you do that, Johnny? What do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? How do you feel?
They might tell you it's kind of a reasonable way that they thought about it, and the way that it came about.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and then coach them, and that goes back to the positive discipline approach and creating good humans.
Yeah.
You know, asking why, asking about feelings, how you doing, and maybe not judging so quickly. So there you go.
Amen. That's a very Costa Rican philosophy, I'd say.
Yeah, and let's hope that it becomes like more of a global philosophy.
Amen.
And then I think we'll have a world that's certainly a bit more peaceful and accepting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And I think that's what we get from Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
If you distill it down
yeah,
to why maybe we enjoy living here, that's maybe
Yeah.
it. We can slow it down a little bit.
yeah,
I love the fact that Costa Ricans are so one of the reasons that I personally love to live here is that Costa Ricans are lovely people, and they don't like conflict, and they shy away from it. And I think in my later years of living in the States, I became more aggressive and more confrontational, and you cut me off and I was gonna yell in my car and be so upset about it. And here, boy, if you get upset, people just walk away from that conversation. They don't want to have anything to do with it.
you really stand out. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and you have to learn, like having kids, you learn patience,
Mhm.
and living in Costa Rica, you learn another level of patience with yourself and with other people, and you learn to just wait and see how it all works out.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
been a lovely thing.
Let the unfolding happen. Yeah, for sure.
Doesn't always work out, I gotta say.
No.
A little while ago, I noticed that the lawn was like 9 inches tall, and I was like, hey, why haven't we cut the lawn? And they're like, oh yeah, the lawnmower broke. I was like, well, when did that happen? They were like, 3 weeks ago. Well, when were we gonna fix that? I don't know. Who broke that? I don't know. It just got broken. Somebody just put it away.
Yes.
Don't want to have conflict.
Yes.
And so that's the flip
Yeah,
side
yeah,
of
yeah.
it. But I'll take that price any day.
Yeah, my favorite is asking directions for somewhere around here. You will never get an I don't know answer because that would somewhat be
It'd be rude.
It would be rude, yes. So been misdirected on many occasions. That's another aspect of the Pura Vida. Be prepared to follow directions to nowhere, and it's part of there always needs to be an answer, but
That's okay. It's friendly.
Super friendly.
It's friendly.
We do a lot of self-reflection in our family, as you can imagine. Two people who co-founded a school, and we're always kind of asking ourselves: is there anywhere else you would want to be in the world? And the answer is absolutely not.
Yeah.
There is no place. There's no place like home.
No place like home.
Here in Guanacaste, Costa Rica, particularly. I haven't lived in other parts of the country, so I can't necessarily speak on their behalf, but here is pretty nice.
It is.
And enjoying every drop of it while we can, because you never know.
Mm-hmm.
So never know what the future holds.
Sure. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that life is uncertain.
Live in the moment.
Live in the moment. Enjoy it while you can. And I think that's a great place to stop. Abel, thank you sincerely so much for coming in. It's been really a pleasure to talk to you, and it's been a while, and I really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and good luck with the podcast. This is an amazing idea.
Thank you.
This Costa Rican Life.
This Costa Rican Life. And now it looks like we just have time for those 5
Push-ups.
really military-style push-ups.
Shoot, I haven't finished this.
Just forget it. You're still... You think...
Because if I can finish this,
If you
then
can finish that, it's only 4.
Yeah.
But it's...
So you're gonna make up for mine. That's cool.
No, they're still sitting there, all iced down and cold.
So I think the last piece of living in Costa Rica and the push-ups can maybe be the talking point here. Is like
Healthy choices?
Healthy. We live healthy. You know, we work. People work and they play hard and stay healthy. And I think that's about so less distractions going into your mind all the time, and you're able to be less stressful and focused on the moment.
And balance.
And balance, man.
Yeah, you're gonna need some balance for these push-ups. Make sure you take those headphones off. I'm gonna commentate on your technique and stuff.
Here I go.
Yeah. Best of luck. And
it's been a pleasure.
Thanks again, Abel. All right, here he goes.
Oh man,
Here goes Abel. Yeah, stretch it out.
I'm a little tired.
How old are you these days, Abel?
43.
43. Yeah, you're in your prime. You're in your prime. All right, looking good. Yeah, right there's fine. No, right in the middle there. It's I gotcha. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, this ultra is so much better than doing push-ups. I can tell you. There's one. There's two. Great form. That's 3, and that's 4. That's good. And the extra ones. All right, Abel, La Paz, and Pura Vida. Gracias, everybody. Thanks, Tommy. Thanks, Lenny. And everybody at This Costa Rican Life. We'll see you next time.